November of 1956, Michael Gladych wrote The G-Engines Are Coming. In that article, he mentions something called gravity particles. If one does research, one finds out that 2 years before, Arnowitt Deser wrote an essay for the Gravity Research Foundation that mentioned that kaons might be those gravity particles. Gladych had hooked on to that, and what wound up in his article is a paragraph or two saying that, first, gravity could be studied in a lab experimentally, and two, that if one managed to take all of the gravity particles out of an iron atom, for example, then one would have achieved antigravity. And you might think that's the end of it, but Arnowitt and Deser would later become members of the ADM team, Arnowitt, Deser, and Misner, that made the ADM formalism for general relativity. In the year 2000, Miguel Alcubierre used ADM to create his Alcubierre metric that shows that faster than light speed travel is possible without time travel penalties. And that leads us right back to the Gravity Engines article. Bill Lear mentioned that UFOs can travel with abrupt accelerations that would be fatal to the occupants, unless those occupants happen to be in a flat gravity metric equivalent to freefall. In that case, they don't feel the acceleration at all, which is exactly what an Alcubierre metric demonstrates. As you can see, the metric has a large flat spot in the middle where passengers can experience no acceleration. Meanwhile, the hill behind the flat and the trough leading it cause the warp bubble to continuously accelerate while passengers experience freefall, no apparent gravity. Now, does this mean that Arnowitt and Deser were secretly working for the Air Force and the Aerospace Industrial Complex? Maybe. Did they tip off Lear early? Maybe he's using some pretty unique language in the article. Is this why the Antigrav press went silent soon after Gladych's article? Had the project actually succeeded and then gone dark? Well, Arnowitt and Deser were definitely working for the Air Force later in the 60s, after Gladych published the article. Who were they working for when they wrote the article in 1954, you ask? Oppenheimer. And yeah, he was more than a little miffed that they'd sent off an essay claiming kaons might be the gravity particle to what was, at the time, an almost sci-fi writing competition, the Gravity Research Foundation's Gravity Essay Contest. No one has ever figured out how to make an Alcubierre drive, but that's where the story comes from, and that is maybe where Lear got his ideas. And that's it for this episode of the Gladych Files. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll have a deeper dive on this coming out soon. In the meantime, if you enjoyed it, like and subscribe.